Hello everyone! In this video, we're going to study about the roots of quadratic equation in one variable. Okay, first we need to know what is a root. So, root is the value of the variable that makes the equation correct. So, it is the value of a variable that makes the equation correct. Let's just keep that simple. The value of the variable or the value of x that makes the equation correct. Okay, this is in the case of a quadratic equation or an equation in degree 2. Okay, for example, we have an equation x squared plus 3x, okay, plus 2 equals 0. So, what are the values of x that will make this equation correct? So, let's try if x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1. Let's try this. So, if so to be able to know if these values are the roots or the value of x that makes this equation correct, so you just have to substitute. So, let's try x is equal to 2. So 2 squared. Just substitute x with the value of x that you think is a root of the quadratic equation. Plus 3 times 2 plus 2 equals 0. So 4 plus 6 plus 2 equals 0. Okay. 4 plus 6, 10 plus 2, 12 is equal to 0. So is it the root of the quadratic equation? So since the answer is 12 equals 0, so therefore it is not. So x is equal to 2 is not a root of the quadratic equation. Okay, now let's try the other one, the 0. Okay, and let's make this one as a negative 1. Okay, so if x is 0, so 0 squared plus 3 times 0 plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so 0 squared is 0 plus 3 times 0 is 0 plus 2 equals 0. So 0 plus 0 plus 2 equals 2 equals 0. So is this correct? Not again. Okay, so therefore this is not not 0 is not a root of this quadratic equation. Now let's try with x is equal to negative 1. Okay, so negative 1 squared plus 3 times negative 1 plus 2 equals 0. Negative 1 squared is positive 1 plus negative 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 2 equals 0. 1 plus negative 3 is negative 2 plus 2 equals 0. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0 equals 0. So as you can see, this is true, right? Because 0 is equal to 0, so therefore this is a root. Okay, so this is a root of this quadratic equation. So that is how you're going to determine the root of the quadratic equation. Now let's go to this in your textbook, page 29. Determine if a given value is a root of a quadratic equation. So our equation is 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. And we're going to try a few values to check if these are root of this quadratic equation. So our value A is x is equal to 5. Second value is x is equal to negative 5. Third value is x is equal to negative 2. And our last value is x is equal to negative 3 over 2. So let's try with positive 5. So x is positive 5, x is equal to 5. Substituting, so we have 2 times 5 squared minus 7 times 5. You just have to substitute, okay? There's nothing much to do, just substitute, okay? every x you substitute with 5. So 2 times 5, 5 squared is 25. Okay, then 25 times 2, that's gonna be 50, but we'll write it down later. 7 times 5 is 35. Okay, minus 15 is equal to 0. So 2 times 25 is 50, minus 35 minus 15 is equal to 0. So 50 minus 35 is 15, right? Minus 15 is equal to 0. So 0 is equal to 0. So this is correct, right? So therefore you can say 5 is a root of the equation. So 5 is a root, okay? So 5 is a root. So this is a root. Okay? Now, our second value is x is equal to negative 5. So let's say if this is a root, so 2 times negative 5 squared minus 7 times negative 5 minus 15 is equal to 0. So negative 5 squared is 25, and then of course same, 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. Okay, minus 15 is equal to 0. Please take note that you can just keep these two positive, because negative 7 times negative 5 is positive 35, but I just make it clear so that you will not get confused. So 2 times 25 is 50. Minus negative 35 is plus 35 minus 15 equals 0. 50 plus 35 is 85. Minus 15 is equal to 0. So 85 minus 15, that is 70, is equal to 0, which is not correct. Okay? Now, so therefore this is not a root. Okay? So this is not a root. This is a root. So let's proceed to the third value. If x equals negative 2, is negative 2 a root? So let's see. 2 times negative 2 squared minus 7 times negative 2 minus 15 is equal to 0. So negative 2 squared is 4, okay, times 2 minus 7 times negative 2. Okay, please let me write negative 14 here. Minus 15 is equal to 0. So 2 times 4 is 8, and then negative times negative 14, that's gonna be plus 14 minus 15 is equal to 0. So 8 plus 14, that is 22. Okay, 22 minus 15 is equal to 0. Oh, 22 minus 15 is 7, and it's not equal to 0. Okay, so therefore, since this is not correct, so x equals negative 2 is not a solution, or not a root of this quadratic equation. And let's proceed to the last one. If x is negative 3 halves, so let's do it. 2 times negative 3 halves squared minus 7 times negative 3 halves minus 15 is equal to 0. So negative 3 halves is 9 over 4. Okay, times 2 minus negative 7 times 7 times negative 3 halves, that's going to be 714, negative 21 over 2 minus 15 is equal to 0. Okay, 2 times 9 is 18 over 4 minus minus a negative, we can make it positive. Minus times negative is positive. 21 over 2 minus 15 is equal to 0. 18 divided by 4, is that possible? Maybe not. So that's why we have to make this fractions into a common denominator fraction so that we can combine them. Okay, so let's see, I'm gonna use 4, so I'll keep the first term as 18 over 4 plus this one. I want to make it 4, so times 2, that's gonna be 42 over 4, and 15, how do I make it? So 4 divided by 1 times 15 equals 60 over 4 equals 0. Now 18 over 4, 18 plus 42, 18 plus 42, that's gonna be 60. Okay, so please bear with me. So 18 plus 42, that's gonna be 60 over 4, then minus 60 over 4 equals 0. So 60 minus 60 over 4, that's gonna be 0 equals 0. Okay, so is this correct? Of course it is correct. 0 equals 0, so therefore this is a root. So we can say that Therefore, of all these 4 roots, possible roots, only 5 and -3/2 are the real roots. Okay? So that's it.